Hi there! Chizuru is the latest addition to CZN's DPS roster, and after Yuki we've learned to temper our expectations. She's a Void Psionic that specializes in single target, multi-hit abilities. While this may not sound like anything new on paper, she does bring a twist to the team building formula. Chizuru prevents AP regeneration and benefits from other attackers with low cost or multi-hit cards, making her the centerpiece of lineups that differ from the current meta. This flowchart illustrates the gist of Chizuru's kit. Apply the Cursed Shackles debuff to a target, gain Will-O-Wisp from attack cards that target the afflicted enemy, and deal damage via Shadow of the Moon that becomes enhanced as Will-O-Wisp accumulates. With that, let us explore her gameplay and mechanics in more detail. First, I'd like to thank LD Shop for sponsoring this video. LDShop.gg is a gaming top-up platform developed by the LD Player Emulator Group, designed to help you save money when spending on your favorite gacha games. On the homepage, you'll immediately notice some familiar titles like Wuwa and the Hoyo hits. Scrolling down, you'll also find new releases, including CZN, which currently offers discounts of up to 31% on your purchases. When you click on the game or search for it at the top, you'll see everything normally available in the in-game cash shop. The monthly subscription package, battle pass, one-time bundles, or paid crystals, all at varying discounts. Buying crystals will still include the first-time top-up bonus if you haven't purchased the pack yet. Each game page also provides detailed instructions on how to top up. For CZN, you need to provide your server, login method, and player ID. To demonstrate how it works, let's buy the monthly pass. Before entering your info, LD Shop notes that the easiest and fastest way to top up is via your Stove account. Once you've confirmed your details, LD Shop prompts you to log out of the game until delivery is complete. You can track the status at the top of your order details page. In my case, it took only a few minutes. Once the delivery was finished, I logged back in, and there it was, the first day of the monthly login reward. You can find my referral link in the description or the pinned comment below. Using it will give you an extra 15% discount on your first order, saving you up to $50. Thanks again to LD Shop for sponsoring this video. Chizuru has two initiation cards in her kit irrespective of her epiphanies. First, Bound at Dusk is an upgrade card that applies Inhibit to the team. This mechanic prevents the generation of AP except for the start of turn and upon Tenacity Break. In return, she gains one additional hit for her main damage card, Shadow of the Moon. The benefit doesn't appear so great that you absolutely need to restrict Chizuru to low-cost no-battery lineups, but let us assume that is her ideal setup for now. Here, Tressa has a Divine Epiphany that restores 1 AP upon using her skill card. With Inhibit active, no AP gets restored though. The same is true for Ray's Ego skill. There's no escaping Inhibit's effect. Depending on the Epiphany, Bound at Dusk also comes with a secondary effect, trying to offset the downside of Inhibit. All of these somehow involve saving AP, either by reducing the cost of cards or by randomly activating them. In this example, two randomly chosen cards have their cost lowered by 1 at the start of the turn. As noted, you mainly inflict yourself with Inhibit to gain an additional hit for Shadow of the Moon. This card starts at 1 stack, referred to as Bind 1, going up to Bind 5. At baseline, it is a single hit ability, but with the effect from Bound at Dusk it starts at 2 hits. Chizuru has a mechanic called Will-O-Wisp that is tracked via the small flames next to her picture. Once 5 stacks are reached, Shadow of the Moon gets upgraded to the next tier. These are the different bind levels of the card. The 3rd and 5th stack each add another hit, and starting from the 3rd stack you also gain healing based on 5% of the team's max HP, meaning it is independent of Chizuru's stats. Here, using the card at bind 4 with Bound at Dusk active, a total of 3 instances of damage are dealt, and the attack concludes with the 5% HP healing. Now that the main mechanic of her kit is established, we only need to understand how Will-O-Wisp is generated. This brings us to Chizuru's other initiation card, Karmic Flames. This can be an attack or skill card that inflicts the target with the debuff Cursed Shackles. Cursed Shackles makes it so that each instance of damage from an active attack generates Will-O-Wisp for Chizuru, excluding her Shadow of the Moon card. The epiphanies of Karmic Flames all add secondary effects that offer situational benefits, but all of them will add the debuff. Note that the attack variants revolve around situations in which the target is afflicted repeatedly with a debuff, whereas the skill variants offer an alternative for multi-target or multi-wave fights. Here, I'm applying Cursed Shackles to the target. Using Chizuru's 4-hit ability Oni Hunt, she gains 4 Will-O-Wisps immediately. Ally attacks also generate stacks for Chizuru, which is why attackers with low-cost cards or multi-hit abilities are preferred teammates. As Ray attacks next, the 5th stack of Will-O-Wisp is generated, creating a Shadow of the Moon card at bind 1, after which all stacks are reset. When the card is already in hand, Either because it was drawn or previously created, it gets upgraded to the next tier upon reaching 5 stacks of Will-O-Wisp. One apparent issue with the attack variants of Karmic Flames is that they don't work well in fights with multiple opponents. Here, as we're facing the second wave of enemies, the card is in the graveyard. Even with a lot of drawing utility, you won't be able to easily cycle the card. Other cards can obtain epiphanies that prevent her kit from falling apart completely, but with the deck in this example there isn't much Chizuru can do. Until she gets Karmic Flames back, her mechanic is pretty much on hold. This wouldn't be an issue against bosses, but for fights like this, you'd want to use the skill card version of Karmic Flames. With this, you're applying Cursed Shackles to a target, after which Karmic Flames exhausts itself and remains as a buff until the opponent is defeated. This prevents Chizuru from applying the debuff to multiple targets, but makes it more accessible when having to reapply it repeatedly. As the target of the first wave dies, the skill card is added back to the hand, maintaining her mechanic seamlessly. However, note that if the final target of a wave is defeated within your own turn, which is to say not via dots or end of turn extra attacks, the skill card will be sent to the graveyard. To play around this, you'll have to end your turn before defeating the target with Cursed Shackles, either because you're about to proceed to the next wave, or because you lack AP to reapply it. Next, Chizuru's skill card Tsukuyomi is another tool in her kit to generate more Will-O-Wisp. One epiphany turns it into an upgrade card that will consistently generate 2 stacks when an attack card is used, whereas the other versions either provide more hits to her attacks and/or generate more stacks. Here, we're using a variant that adds 1 hit to her next attack and provides 1 stack for each hit. These 2 effects are independent and can stack up. After having used the skill twice, she will have 1 bonus hit for the next 2 attack cards, but restore 2 Will-O-Wisp per hit for the next attack card. Here, we're combining this with her final card, Oni Hunt. This can be any type of card depending on the epiphany. Notably, the upgrade variant also generates 3 stacks at the start of turn. When combined with the upgrade version of Tsukuyomi, you're getting a very consistent stream of stacks, but there are also variants that allow Chizuru to have much more burst potential. In this example, Oni Hunt creates 2 of her basic cards Moonslash at 0 cost. The base version of the card hits only once, but since we have 2 stacks of Tsukuyomi, both cards will hit twice. Note that the first card restores a total of 4 Will-O-Wisp, after which that part of Tsukuyomi's effect is removed. The second attack still does its double hit, but generates only the normal amount of stacks. Keep in mind that Shadow of the Moon is excluded from the additional hit effect unless you're using Tsukuyomi's epiphany that explicitly applies to it. Here, at bind 5, we get 4 hits out of the attack, which does not change by using Tsukuyomi with the generic hit increase. We do get the bonus Will-O-Wisp stacks though. That said, a more bursty build involves the attack variant of Oni Hunt. This version deals a total of 4 hits and buffs Shadow of the Moon's multiplier additively by 40%. This bonus can stack up with each use of Oni Hunt until Shadow of the Moon gets used. When combined with this version of Tsukuyomi, which grants 3 Will-O-Wisp stacks per hit of the next attack, we're getting 12 stacks immediately, upgrading Shadow of the Moon twice. Tsukuyomi also activates with ally attacks, so this build would probably prefer allies with multi-hit abilities of their own. Someone like Tressa mostly does single hits, making her less suited for the task. Lastly, Chizuru's Ego skill is a simple single target nuke that ramps up as you continue to create Shadow of the Moon cards. Each one adds 50% onto the multiplier, up to a maximum of 10 stacks or 500% bonus damage. Due to this effect, it is not an Ego skill you want to use early in a fight, making it more suited for non-turn limited content. Once you're all stacked up, you're getting big damage rivaling that of Haru. I feel that a multi-hit attack would have been more on theme though. Her signature partner Itsuku provides plenty of damage bonuses, but most of its passive is extremely specific and only suited for Chizuru. To gain an attack bonus, the combatant needs to stack cards, which is currently uniquely Chizuru's gimmick. You'd also need attacks that deal 3 or more hits to make use of the fixed damage portion. For Chizuru this is obviously not an issue, and the Ego skill provides more additive bonus damage that works well with her multi-hit attacks. I do wonder why it's tied to an AoE attack though. Chizuru is mainly intended for single target fights, so this doesn't make a lot of sense and pushes the EP cost up to 4. Overall, I wouldn't bother with this one, unless you're fine with pulling and building one dedicated partner for each of your characters. That should do it for this first look. Chizuru appears to be a strong choice for single target boss fights that allow for multi-hit attacks, which Void bosses seem to be all about so far. Her mechanics also push for a different type of team setup that doesn't go down the hyper carry route, flanked by double support characters, while also actively excluding battery support. In that sense, I could see her as a valuable addition to most rosters simply for opening up more team building variations. However, with already 3 5-star Void DPS characters in the game, I'd consider Chizuru still optional, as her power level doesn't seem to surpass any of the existing characters. This is difficult to gauge from an early impression though, so I'd suggest holding off until more time went into testing. If you don't have any of the Void characters so far, you most likely won't regret pulling for Chizuru. On that note, let me know what you think of Chizuru. Did you pull right away, or are you remaining steadfast for now? In any case, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.